Hello everyone, I hope you can hear me. So just in case you let me know. So I'll just begin our today's lesson. I don't know, maybe you can confirm to me whether you managed to follow our yesterday's lesson so that you're able to get the idea behind what we covered. Yeah. I got one feedback from Mercy, and also she made me know that she's having some problem on her end, so she won't manage to attend to this class. So I'll assume we... Yes, Caroline, are you having a question? Yes.
Yesterday after class, I tried. But this point of properties, how to do label, I think is still not clear. Then another question: why do we need to create to program the observation? What is the function? What is the use of that observation?
Okay.
You observe.
It's okay. So we're going to be using again the same today, the observe. But now assume you want to generate a random variables. Yeah, you'll need to use that command all by yourself. So I go to stata, and this is what I'm having on my end. So basically the observation command was generated automatically without us going through the step of entering the command under the command area. Yeah, so I'll go to data editor, and I'll choose the first option, and I said we get the command immediately we type anything in any of these cells. Yeah, so I'm using the first cell of yes Kiki, are you having a question?
I can't see your presentation.
Oh, okay.
Presentation imepotea.
Okay, let me reshare. Is it visible now?
No, we are not seeing.
Okay, just a minute. Is it visible now?
Sorry, not yet.
Maybe we can give it a minute. You can still not see my screen.
Yeah, we can't see your screen from our side, that is.
I can see your screen.
Okay, thank you, Helen. So I'm just wondering what could be the issue, because on my end I'm using my phone, so I'm able to see what you can see, and I can see my screen as well. So Maybe you can leave and rejoin, then you can let me know whether it's visible. Okay, sorry for the...
Pardon?
You can leave, like you can exit the class, then you rejoin. Yeah, you can do the same, Caroline. If you can't, you can still not see my screen, so that it's visible to you too.
I'm using the phone.
You can't see my screen?
No, I'm saying I'm using the phone.
Okay, you should be able to see my screen as well.
Yes, I'm seeing. See, you are
Okay.
using you are what? Now notes is or not?
Okay. So as I was saying, wanted to show you how commands are generally popping up under the command area. I said this year we're going to be having our command, so I said I'll show you an alternative whereby you can save your commands and not lose them. So I'll go to the data editor, and then we have the editor. Then I'll just type 1 in the cell and hit enter. I've just typed a number in the first cell, that's in the first column and first row of our stata table view. Once I've done that, I'll close, and by default I'll have a command that generated that one, that is set observation 1 generate variable 1 equal to 1 is the number in the first cell. This one meaning the first cell or the first row, because it's an entry. So if you enter a 2, you'll have a 2 in row 2. If you have a 5 in line 3, for example, if I was to type 5 as my first variable, it will be generated 5 in 1 meaning the first row. So these codes are generated randomly. In the other question, I don't know, what was the other question, Caroline?
On the side of variable, whereby we were using properties,
Okay.
properties and labels.
Okay.
Under properties, there are name, label, type, format, value.
So I'll use the command
that
edit.
One, but
okay.
it was not coming out, so I don't know the reason.
Okay, I'll do it once more. So I have edit. I'll open the editor window and assume I'm having my first cell is variable 1. Of course, we said you can change the name, so I'll just come here where we're having variable, then down here we have properties, and on the properties area I'll just click on the name where it's written var1, double click on that. I'll name it, say, gender. Yeah, so that the column name reads gender, and then we have 1. I'll add a 2, meaning I'm having 2 entries. 1 is for male, 2 is for female. So I'll just show you how to add or change this into the value label. So for the value label section under properties to be active, you must have selected the variable you want to work with. You can either select a cell within the data itself, or under the variable on the right area you click on make sure the gender is selected, so that the variable area here we're having at the properties, it will be active. Then we have the value label option here. With at the end we have a drop down and then a 3 dots. So we have a drop down, then 3 dots. So I'll click on the 3 dots first, so that I'm able to add the label values. I'm having this pop-up that says manage value labels, but it is empty, so there is no item to show. So I have to click to create it on my own. So I'll create label by clicking on this create label option. Yeah, and then I'll add my label name. That's the first thing. you can see it's selected here, label name. So I'll just type sex as the label name. The other and most important is adding your value and labels. So I'll click on value, I'll type 1. On labels, I'll type male, meaning that when a 1 is entered, it means that person is a male. I'll hit on add, and I'll add a 2 again on the value area. Give the label name as female and click on add. So in my value and label, I'm having 1 and 2, 1 being the label being male, and 2 being having the label being female. That's all. Then I'll click OK. So now you can see in the value label we are having one value label, that is sex, because that was the name of our label value, our value label. Then if we're having a plus button whereby you can always expand to see what is contained in this value label. So I'll just click on that, and you can see it's 1 for male, 2 for female. You don't have to do that, you just have to understand what is it's contained on it. So then I close. So once I add my value label, I'll close. Last and most important part is adding or using that value label. Yeah, and anytime you're using that value label, make sure the selected value or variable is the one that you want to add that value label to. So I'll select on gender again, just to make sure it's active, just to make sure that we're having our selected variable here as gender. Then I'll come again under value label, I'll click on this drop down, just a small drop down before the 3 dots. I'll click on that, and what pops up is none, and then the variable we created, which is sex. So I'll click on the value label just once, and automatically the value and labels that we created will be visible in our data entry, so you're able to see that as well.
You click any space of that that sheet.
I don't get you.
After doing that label, you click any space in this sheet, or there is an icon there.
You can just use the you see, before properties, on top we have the variables. This is where you're going to be seeing the list of the variables. And because I wanted to use the label value, I created code sex under the gender, so I selected gender first. Then I'll go to the drop down here, just add a value label. We have a value label, then before the 3 dots where we clicked to create the value label, we're having a drop down. So I'm clicking on just that drop down, and then I choose the value label I want to add under gender. And that's why I'm selecting sex. It will just be, it should reflect automatically.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll close that. Yes, you're having a question?
What time did you? Yes. When did you create the variable sex?
Once I clicked on the 3 dots. You click on the 3 dots under value label, you'll see the 3 dots whereby you're supposed to create the value label.
On my end, if I click on the value label, I see none and female. I don't see the variable sex. What happened?
Did you add both male and female? Okay, the only thing could be, can you maybe go back to value label 3 dots? Okay, I will be doing the same, but I won't add anything. Let me just go back to the data editor. There's a case whereby you're supposed to add the name of your value label. So let me go to the 3 dots again. So I'll click on the 3 dots. Once you click on create label value, anytime you click on create label value, before you add your label values down here, we have label name. So this is where I entered the name sex. You can add the name gender just to give Yeah, just to give you a label.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me try it.
Okay. So what we did, again, once you run anything in stata, you'll always get the codes that generated that, and these are the codes. For example, when we went to label, we have label defined sex is the name of the label. 1 is male, 2 is female. Then we have label value and a gender. That's why we added our label defined sex. So this command was definitely generated automatically, but you can use them maybe later or anytime you're able to. When you're comfortable with using the code, it will be much easier than going through the steps whereby you have to select the variables. Okay, so another thing, I don't know whether you were able to go with it, is on how to add data into data. That's the import part. We said you go to file, you go to import, then we have text file because that was a text file, and then you locate your file. Before that, remember we are having a data set that is having just the gender 1 and 2. So if you add another variable or another data set, it will be added on top of what we are having. That's why I said anytime you work with a data set and you are done with it, you can always clear. Maybe you can save the steps of generating that data, as I'm going to be showing you. Yeah, you can save this so that the code, so that you can reuse them later. But for now, we're going to type clear so that we clear our area, so that we don't have overlapping of data sets. So then I'll go to file, import a text file, and we'll have file import to the end. We're having a browse, so I'll click on browse, and then I'll scroll down here. We're having a horizontal scroll bar, so I just scroll through it so that I'm able to see what's contained in my entire downloads until I find my data set called auto2. I'll select on it, click open. Nothing is changing much here. We're changing nothing apart from selecting the data, and you can see now it's showing me the path where my data is located under file to import. Then I'll click on OK. And again, I'll get the code that generated that import. So to import a data, we use the command import delimiter, and then you type the path of generating that code. Import delimiter is the command for importing data into stata. In our data set we imported, we have 4 variables and 5 observations. Variable being the column names, because the column name is the one who holds the entire data entry. So that's why I don't know why I'm going to control this so that I don't have these pop-ups. So just a minute, let me close something. Okay, I hope that will work. So as I was saying, apart from importing data, I also introduced you to a command that is used to import data into stata, and that is the insheet command that we tried to use yesterday, but in most of our case it wasn't working. But I'll share the notes so that you probably can practice on how to use the command. It's called insheet using and then the name of the data set with its extension. So maybe I can type it here, insheet. Let me increase the command line area. That's better. So I'm having it here, insheet using. Just that, insheet using. What follows us after this is the name of your dataset dot its extension. Yeah, for example, you can see in our import we had the dataset name is auto2.text. This is the name you're going to be importing. But now for the import, this data, for you to import it into stata, the dataset must exist in the same location where the stata is. Maybe probably we can we'll learn maybe later how to know the location of your stata so that you're able to add the dataset there. Okay, so let's get into what we're supposed to be doing today. We're going to be using the command area, whereby we don't need to, we won't lose our commands. So I want you to just check on my screen if you can see it, just in case you let me know. Caroline, you can mute your mic. Thank you. So we are having our menu tab, and then we have some shortcut commands down here. Hello, Diva, you can mute your mic, or are you having a question?
I'm unable to import my data.
So maybe you can join using one maybe the computer or the phone. What do you mean? Maybe you should, I guess you had the same question yesterday. Probably you can share your screen after the class so that I'll be able to see what you're getting on your end. So I was talking about the menu tab. You're having the menu tab, and down here we have a shortcut commands, and under the shortcut commands you can just hover around your mouse. The first one is open button, we have the save button, we have print the results, followed by log. We're going to see how to use it. Begin or close. We have new viewer and a drop down besides it. We have bring graph window to front. We have new do file, and I want us to use this new do file. The reason I want us to use it is because we'll need it to save our commands so that we don't lose them. So you can just click on new do file. I hope you can see where my mouse is. Just the command or the shortcut command down in between graphics and statistics, the new do file editor. I'll click on that, and you can see there's a pop-up over an empty command area. From this point, when we type any command, we will be able to save it and maybe run them later. So anytime we close data, we're going to copy any command you write here, you won't lose it because you're going to be saving it. So we're going to be generating a random data set on our own using the commands, of course, we have been using. So that's why I say the commands are very important. For example, the command that generated the entries we previously had, we have set obs as 1, so set observation as 1, number of observation, then they generate. Anytime you set an observation, you have to generate it so that it appears into the stata editor window. So I'm still at that do file editor, and the first command is set so let me try and increase the size. Okay, this is a little bit better. We're able to increase the size. I hope you can see. Okay, I can't increase more than that. I hope that's visible. I hope it's visible, only that we're not able to see the numbering. The numbering is where we're having that this is the first line of the command area, but it's okay. You can just follow the command, and maybe we can get it from there. So I'm going to be setting obs for observation, just as you have seen previously. Set observation 100. What this means is that you want to generate 100 observations. If you type 50, you're going to be generating 50 observations. By now, according to how we viewed the editor, you should be able to understand when we talk about observation, what are we talking about, and when we talk about variables. Variables are our column names. Our entries is what we are calling observation, or rather the row entries are our observations. So we are setting observation as 100. Of course, you can run each command at a time, and to execute a command you just need to use the execute tab, which is the last under the shortcut list. You're able to see this folder like with a play like button in it. When you put your mouse there, it reads execute. So that's where we're going to be executing our commands. We can execute one by one, or we can execute all of them by either selecting. So I've said I'll hit enter. Set observations as 100. The second thing is generating them. So we'll use the generate. And what we want to generate is the first column, and our first column will be the ID number. You can either type it as ID number or as just ID. So I'll have it as ID. So generate ID equal to just a small underscore and an N. What this means, it's supposed to generate ID equal to number of observation. Like you don't have to type the ID entries. Yeah, we're going to have IDs similar or equal to the number of observations. That's 100. So maybe we can run that and see whether our command is successful. If it has an error, I remember I showed you how to identify that. So I run or I execute using execute selection because I've selected. Anytime you execute when you haven't selected, it will just run a case whereby your cursor is. So because I want to execute everything, I select and then execute using the execute button here. Once you execute it, you should be able to see the results in our starter area. So let me show you something. I've set observation as 100, generated ID, and already I had imported a data. I had imported a data set. And I didn't create the auto 2. So let me go to data editor, then edit mode. And you can see this is one of the major reasons why it is important to always clear your edit area or your data editor area by the use of the command clear to avoid this. So previously, if you check on my command, you'll see I previously imported this text data. Then I have I've created a sample data, a random sample data, but I did not clear the previous data that I imported. That's why if you check on my data editor area, I'm having the imported data. This is how the outer 2 dataset looks like, and then the ID I added. Very messy because these are 2 different data sets. So the way to go about it, I can just clear by running the command clear, hit run, so that you've cleared the previously imported data, which means I've also cleared the the command I generated. That's the 100 observations. So we are starting now afresh. So if I go to data editor, I should have an empty space, and you can see that, and this is what we wanted, so that we can create our data sample. So I can either go to the do file, to where I'm having our do file editor, and rerun the commands. Alternatively, we have the commands area where you're able to see all the run commands, and you can select the do. Then we have the path, again should show you the command that generated. This is what generated, or this is where the data set that we created is. So I won't use this, so I'll just go to the do area. So I'll go to my do file and then rerun this command. So I run them again. So let me take you back to, so after clear, we have the set observation as 100, which tells us that number of observations was 0, now 100. Then we have generate ID, which is equals to the number of observations set above. Add off the do file, because we're using the do file. I'll go to editor now after running that, so that we're able to see what is contained in our data area, and we just have the ID we created. If you scroll, it should go down all the way to 100, because that's what we intended, and you can see that. Yeah, so the next thing, back to the do file, so that we generate more data entries. So I'll hit enter to go to line 3, and I'll generate a different variable, say age. Yeah, so I'll type generate, and the variable I want to generate is age. Then you set your age. So generate age equal to, and because we are randomly, we don't have a case whereby we can say we are looking and then typing out the data, so we want randomly generated numbers. We're going to use the command rnormal for randomly normal. Yes, Kiki?
I'm sorry. From my side, the presentation face keep hanging, so it takes a long. I don't know why.
Okay, anybody?
For now, let's look at generate. I cannot see the other variable like age and so forth.
Okay, is anybody else experiencing the same case, or the rest of the screen is clear? Kindly confirm so that we proceed. Yes?
Mine, I tried, but it's showing not found, which means that 100, I can't get that 100 after execute.
Can you see my screen?
Yours now I'm seeing.
Okay. What I was asking is whether my screen is visible, because on Kiki's side, my screen is hanging on his side. So anytime we run a command from this point, the do file editor, you'll just minimize the screen and you'll see whether the command is successful at this point where our command was run. Apart from you seeing the success of the command, unless you go to data editor, that's where you will see your data entries. You have to go to the data editor area. Okay, so I wanted to generate age, and I was using, I was saying I'm supposed to use the R normal, which means I want normal distributed data, but they are generated again randomly. So stata should generate, by the use of the command rnormal, stata should be able to generate random variables and they should also be normally distributed. That's why we are using R normal. Then you should give your specifications in terms of your entries. So I'll open the brackets, so I'll just make sure I'm moving slowly. Of course, if you check previously, by now you should be able to understand statistical terms. When you talk about normal distributed data, you should have a picture of what you're talking about. Yeah. Then we have other things such as the distribution are usually different. It doesn't mean that all the time you have to be having random values. Yeah. Then we're supposed to indicate, after you indicate the distribution, you're supposed to indicate the mean. You should give the mean, just an average mean, and how the difference between means is known as the standard deviation. I don't know whether you have come across that. The difference between means is known as the standard deviation. So after my R normal, I'll open some brackets and then I'll type 50 being the generated age mean, comma, and the standard deviation is 10. What this means is, if you're having a person whose age is 55, the difference between a person who is age 55 and the one older than that person should be 65. This is the mean and this is the standard deviation. Yes, sorry, I didn't see that. Are you having a question? Okay, so I hope that's clear. When you're generating yes, Kike?
I'm still having the same challenge. I don't know what is the problem.
Okay, I'll share. Maybe you, if you are using your phone, you can maybe follow.
I'm using a laptop.
So I was saying, if you're having a challenge, what I was trying to do is to just give you a situation whereby maybe you can type as I type. Then you can maybe review on that later, just in case you have an error. You can recheck with what I'm having. But
your presentation, from my view, it has stopped at the do file window.
That
I
is.
cannot see beyond the presentation you're trying to explain. I cannot see it.
I'm explaining the do file, and where I'm at is at the generate age, R normal, 50 and 10. Can you see that?
50?
Comma, and then there's a 10.
No, I cannot see. Now it has popped up now.
Okay. Maybe you can just bear with it. Maybe you, yeah. So I was explaining on the 50 and 10. One, we are having R normal, meaning that we are randomly generating normal distributed type of data. Then we are having the mean as 50, the mean of the age that is going to be generated. Its mean should be 50 and the standard deviation should be 10. Standard deviation, I've said, it's the difference between your age from the mean, the age distribution from the mean. Yeah, I'll hit enter. I'll be running that in a minute. I just wanted to add I just wanted us to add that as well. Maybe I can run it, so I put my mouse there and use the execute button. You can check that under the starter view. So, oh sorry, I should select. I can see when I run it, I've run it twice. So this is what I would advise. Anytime you are creating variables and you want to run a specific line, I had made sure that my cursor is in the line that I want to run. But if you check on my case, the set observation 100 was run successfully, and in my case I'm having number of observation was 100, now 100. I don't know whether you are getting, like, it will regenerate the variables again, and definitely we don't want that. We want our data to be as it should be. So let me check on the data editor just in case anything was interfered with. So anytime you are running a data set, make sure it is selected, so it is intact. So I'll just go to the do file edit and select generate age so that I run it. Then I run that. Then you can check whether it was successful now, and you can see it was successful. Yeah. So let's see what we have under our editor tab. It's not a must you close the, what do we call it, the data editor. You can minimize it so that you don't have to open it anytime you want to use it. You can see we have ID and age. Yeah, and our age again is running from, maybe you can check on what we're having as we go down. You can see the distributions, a lot of 40s, 50s, and some 30s. Yeah, we have some 20s as well, just the normal distribution. Then I want us to do something, because why are we creating this data? We want to learn how to clean our data set. So I'll just add a certain command here so that we don't have our data clean, because currently it's clean. If I replace one variable, say the first cell is under age, that is this cell here. Let me just select it. We're having 57.35. Let me see whether I'll be able to do that. I want to replace that with a different age, and to replace we use the command replace, and I want to replace age. So retype the age name well, just as you did previously. So replace age to be equal to 200 in the first cell under column age. I'll hit enter. So sorry, I run it so that we can see whether the effect is successful. Replace age to be equals to 200 in the first cell under age. I'll execute that. Then I can just check on the data editor. Sorry, let me scroll up, and you can see the first cell under age is replaced with 200. Why? What was the purpose of replacing age with 200? The reason behind that is we randomly generated this data. Of course, you can replace a couple of them, but I just wanted to replace one so that when we come to data cleaning, you'll see the change or the difference in data cleaning. That was the major purpose of changing or replacing a cell. Okay, so The next thing, we can generate a second variable. I'll generate a second variable. So generate, we have ID, we have age, so we can generate a variable, call it happiness level, or maybe you can just type it as happiness. You can rename it later. To be equal to happiness, to be equal to we're going to be using the runif. This is a command that just to give a general comment, in most cases you realize if you're going to be using a programming language apart from stata, some of these commands will be similar. For example, if you are to learn how to use the R or maybe the Python or such, those are programming language. Some of these command will be the same. So we're going to be using the command r uniform. Maybe you can type it then explain it. Int into brackets, then I'll have 1 comma 4. What does this mean? It means that, bearing in mind we are randomly generating variables, that's why we're using some of these commands. So we have R for random, then we have uniformly distributed, that's why we're having uniform for uniformly distributed, and then we have the int for integers in this case meaning whole numbers. So we are randomly generating the purpose of R uniform. In some cases it's R unif, it's up to F. So R uniform integer, it's for generating uniformly distributed random integers. Random uniformly distributed integers, and in our case we just have 1 to 4. The reason we have 1 to 4 because when you talk about happiness, you can either be very happy. It's like a scale whereby you are either under happy, you are either rarely happy, sometimes happy, oftenly happy, or always happy, in such. Like it's kind of Likert scale, just to take you back to where we are coming from. Likert scale, where you're having a scale of variables. That's why we're having the happiness. I'll show you how again to work with label values on this. So we're just going to generate it. Lastly, you can mess up again with this, so that when you clean you're able to, maybe you can replace happiness, say to 10. Remember it's running from 1 4. You can replace it with 10 in a certain cell, any cell. Our cells are running from number 1 all the way to 100, so you can replace in cell number 50, cell number 60 or so. But I'll just leave it as that and generate the last variable, which is generate I'll just call it something else, like just a column that we can use to clean our data. And you notice that I'm typing it as a whole name, so you can maybe separate them with an underscore. Generate something else to be equal to, and I'll use again the R normal, with a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1, just that. So maybe we can run the happiness and the something else, and we see how our data looks like. I ran that. Generally, we have generated 4 variables. Generate ID. In exception of the replace, the purpose of the replace was to just make our data a little bit messy for data cleaning purposes. So we generated ID to be equal to the number of set observation. We have generate age, and we are randomly generating that with a mean of 50 and a standard deviation of 10. Then we have generating happiness as our third variable, and we are generating random uniformly distributed integers running from 1 to 4, and I've said these are like cut scale variable. And then we have generated something else. You can give it anything, another name apart from something else, and it's a randomly normal distributed with a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. I hope that was clear. This is how you're going to be generating your output. So I'll minimize the screen so that you're able to see what I have. So I've generated happiness, and I've also generated something else. Under the data editor, this is how my screen looks like. I'm having ID, I'm having age, I'm having happiness. If you check on happiness, we're just having numbers running from 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's not going past that.
Question.
Yes.
Where are you getting those information from? The imported in the data?
No. We are randomly generating these variables. We don't have a table guiding us. That's why we are using random. If you check on, apart from the ID, which was generated according to the number of observations, the age is randomly generated. Like we are telling stata to randomly generate age with some specification. Yeah, we are not the one generating it. The same for happiness, randomly. Yes.
But if you check if I check my output, I'm seeing some red, some are written in red, so I don't know why I'm not getting them. Like if the one for R uniformity, maybe were not found.
Okay, how about the rest? Who is having a command error? What I mean with the command error is you're having under the command, let me go back to stata form view, you're having red commands here. Like usually it's an error. Anybody else who is experiencing the same thing? Maybe you can check again. You can check on how you typed the R uniform integer, how you typed that. It's very important because we are yet to go to a case where we are supposed to be using some packages. So
yeah, I think it is one word.
Yeah, it's a one word. It's not two words.
Because I'm introducing spacing.
No. You should not introduce space. If you add a space.
After writing generate happiness is space, then equal sign, then space R uniformity.
No, that should not be the case. That should not be affecting. The spaces here should not be affecting. The only space that should affect is in between the. Under your do file edit is the R uniform integer in blue, the sky blue, then it's having an error. You are having an error. You can recheck on that command. It's RUNIFOR.
RUNIFORMINT.
Yes.
Sio ndio imeandika?
Okay, who else is having such an error? Because it should be in blue. Any command you're going to be typing shouldn't be in blue. I don't know whether there's anybody else having that error. Okay, it seems the rest we are having same thing. Maybe I'll check on your end what could be causing such error. Maybe you can, in the meantime, ignore that. Then we'll come back to that. The numbers is running from 1 to 4. I'm having problem with the presentation. I don't know why. Okay, I'm not really sure what's causing that clicky, but the reason the video was shared earlier yesterday is because I requested for that for those who joined late, and then they requested me that they explained the reasons. You know, by the time I'll be sending this video, no one will be in the company, no one will be using the company's properties, so they maybe probably will wait until tomorrow because their work time is over. They will probably wait until tomorrow for them to upload it and share, because I'm not the one, I can't upload it on my end. I have to share it to the operations team so that they're able to upload it and share the link with me, and then I share it again to you. Okay, so we're having the R uniformity. That's where Caroline is having an error. I'll check on that from her end, but I hope everybody else is having this type of data. ID, we're having age, happiness, and then we have the something else. Yeah, so when we get the data, then we go to the step of cleaning the data. We already have the data. Of course, we tried to mess up with the age, and I said you can replace any other cell, maybe probably within the happiness. Yeah, but before that, let's just get a summary, maybe by the use of the command. Yesterday we see you can use summarize or sum for summarizing. We have the describe. We can use either those to just get the summary of the data. Yeah, so someone is making some noise. Caroline, you can mute your mic. So I'll have analyze. So I'll use the asterisk. So let me see. Yeah, the asterisk, and then I can type analyzing. Okay, I'll try and share the commands with you. Analyzing, then I hit enter, and analyzing, I'll just run the summarize or the describe. Yesterday we saw you can use the sum or the summarize, not summary. We are getting the summary, but we're using summarize, and we said you can use sum as well. For you to understand more about why we are cutting the name, you can use the help, and then under the command help, and then the command name. You'll get to understand more about that command. So I'll use describe to get the summary or to get the data summary. So describe. Anytime you run any code with the comment should not run. The comment. So let me see this. I'll minimize. Sorry. I'm having an error under my describe command. This is what I was saying. As you can see, this is red and I'm having a red here. If you have such cases, that means you have an error, and the best thing, it's always telling you what's causing such. So let me see whether summary will be successful. Of course, I don't know why it is just as it is. Sorry. Summarize. Any command you type correctly should be in blue. Okay. I've noted something. When you start the command with caps, it's adding up to being not a command. So you can see now describe should work, the summary as well should work. So I just run both of them so that you can see the difference between the two outputs. Sorry. So I'll minimize this, and this is what we are having. When we run summarize, you're supposed to get the variable, the number of observation under each case, their means. So the mean of age is ID is 50.5, the mean of 49 of age is 49.8. Remember, we said that the mean, when you use the randomly generating variable, you see the age should be 50. Bearing in mind, we replaced one variable that we ended up making it 200, so that could be affecting the result output. Then we are having our standard deviation. The minimum of age is 24.337, and then we have the maximum is 200, the one we managed to change. The same case for happiness and something else. This was just a randomly generated variable. When you use the describe command, you get the number of observation, the number of variables, therefore, because we have ID, age, happiness, and something else. So we have 4 variables. Then we having their sizes. So you don't have to worry about that much. We're having the variable name, the storage type. I don't know whether you understand. The storage type is when you talk more about the data type. Then we have the display format, the value label, and then we have the value labels. We don't yet have any value labels, that's why having it as empty. So we have the data. This is what we have currently on our end. So remember, we are saving our commands. Yeah, I'll show you something else. I'll go to some under stata area. I'll go to the data editor window, and then we can replace the age. Remember how we used the properties for value labels? Maybe you can follow this again just in case you didn't get each and every part of it. So currently you can see under properties, the name, the label, the type, they are not active. They are blurred, like, and their names, for example, the name of the column is currently not, it's empty, because we have, you can see the current selected cell is up here. This is the current selected cell, so it's empty. And because we want to edit happiness, you either select a cell in happiness, and you can see it's active now, or just above the properties we have the variables ID, age, happiness. Select on happiness. Again, that's another way of making sure that the property area is active. Value labels, that's where we're heading. So we have the name is happiness, we're having the label none, we have the type is float, the format, then we have the value label. So I'll click on value label so that I'm able to see the drop down. and the three dots. Currently under the drop down we just have none. So when we add a value label with its name, it should be under the list. So I'll click on the three dots. Then we're having manage value labels, and there is none as per now. So I'll click on create label values. Remember, whatever we're going to be doing, we're going to get the command. So maybe we can copy it and add it to our do file so that we have the commands. I've included the commands as well under the notes. So first thing is give the label name. You can give the label name the label you are creating. I clicked on create label, and the first case is label name. I'll just call it happiness scale. Happiness scale. It's important so that I'm able to know that this label that exists as happiness scale is purposely for happiness variable. Then down here we have the value area and label. So I'll add a value, say 1 sorry, the first value 1. I'll add the label as a rare, meaning rarely happy. Sorry, rarely for 1. I'll click on add, then I have 2 for sometimes. So you are rarely happy, sometimes happy. So I have sometimes. Of course you can have a different scale. Then we have 3. Remember, our numbers are running from 1 to 4 for happiness. Yeah, so we have 3. Then the label here will be often. Sorry, I'll click on add, and lastly 4, because we just have 4 values, we'll have always, and click on add. So you can see on my list for value and then the label, we're having 1 to 4, rare, sometimes, often, and always. Then I'll click on OK, and you can see my label name is happiness. So I'll click OK. So we have the name happiness scale is not valid, so because of the spacing I added, so I'll just remove the space, or you can use an underscore. Let me see whether underscore will work. Yeah, the underscore is working. So we have happiness underscore scale. Otherwise you can just type the name of the variable as, the name of the label as one name. So now we don't have an empty scale here, we have happiness scale. Once that's done, you just close the manage value labels. The moment you add more than one value labels, they list themselves here with the different names you're going to be giving them, and you can apply each to the correct variable. But for now, I want to apply this to happiness. So 1, I select happiness, then go to the drop down just before the 3 dots, and then click on happiness scale. And you can see under happiness, I don't have, now I no longer have I no longer have them as 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see we are having them as rare, rarely, happiness, rarely happy. We have sometimes happy, always happy, and often happy. I wanted to edit on the format, that's why I was checking, so that we don't have the lots of decimal places as in my case. So let me try with age in a minute. So I'll go to format. We have the 3 dots at the end. We have the 3 dots at the end. Yeah, of course it's a numeric type of data. I'll just work with where we're having decimal places. Maybe let me see, when I add the 0, click OK. Okay, still not working. Just a minute. Total digits. Okay, I don't want to manually adjust that. Okay, let's work on the format maybe in our next lesson, once I confirm the point for that. But in the meantime, you can see we are able to add the label, and we have been able to add the data set itself. Yeah, so we can try and record the results that we have. Yeah, just to clean the data, because it's important to clean our data set. And the reason we clean is because we know we really need to make sure you have the right format. One, from the labeling, the label values, it's very important, because you're able to define what a specific variable contains. It's still in the process of data cleaning, and it's also very, very important. Alternatively, remember we are having a 200 here, and I said if I try, currently I can adjust the value there. Okay, let me just copy. I'm at stata. We have the label defined as happiness there. This is what generated our label values. So this command was generated by stata, and I wanted to add it at our do file area. So I'll just copy it, select, copy, then I'll go to the do file. The reason I'm adding it to the do file is because you'll need it. You'll definitely need it. It could not be now, it could be later. So if you scroll, you can see how you're supposed to add the labels. Label, define, label, value. These are the commands that generated the labeling of our results output. Yeah, so this is under data cleaning, so I'll just add cleaning here, or data cleaning as a comment, and then we can clean the edge as well, because we are having a 200. Of course, you're the one who added it, but I'm just assuming a case whereby you having a variable and you run an analysis or a visualization and realize that you'll need to clean that data set or that output. Yeah, so I'll use the command record. I hope my screen is still visible. Record. Is the command, and we want to record age, record age, so that we have, out of the 100, the maximum should be 100. What we are trying to do is we are trying to tell stata that the 200 that exists is an outlier, or is a variable that shouldn't be in our entry, because a person aged 200, that's something else. So I'll just record age, open the brackets, and say 100 divided by the maximum. So we have slash the max for the maximum. Just a minute, this should be in blue. I'm seeing it's turning into black, so I'll expect to have an error here, but let me complete and see whether I can adjust on the theme. So we have the maximum of age, of course, should be 100 in this case. So that's how our command should look like. But I'm having an issue with the max we are having here. The maximum should be 100. So let me just try to use it that way, just that I'm assuming. Okay, let me execute. Let me just see what the result is, and then from there I can judge. Oh, I did not select the result, sorry. So I rerun everything again, sorry. I'm supposed to select the command I want to run. So I should select the record, then execute just that. Oh, it was not an error, so it's successful. So when we run a describe, in this case, or a summary, we're supposed to see a change in the result. So let me try that. I've recorded so that the maximum age is 100. So run a describe or summary. Summarize. Remember we said summary. If you type summary, you can see it's black. It should be blue, so it's summarize. Then I'll select and execute that. Let's see what we have as our output. So we have variable, observations, the mean, and you can see the maximum for age. The minimum is 24, the maximum is 100. Save to the data view. Under the data editor, you can see the age that was 100 was recorded as the maximum, which is 100. So you'll be able to see under summarize, under running summarize, you're supposed to see the results. In this case, sorry, what is the maximum, the minimum, the mean, the standard deviation, so that you're able to see which value is running out of the range, and then you can just edit or adjust on that. If you want a variable, of course, to exist as a missing, for example, we can, if you don't know or you don't want to assume a specific variable, of course we can use the means to replace the same. You can as well treat that variable as a missing variable. You just use, for example, where we said record variable age, the maximum to be equals to 100. You can just put a dot, like a full stop. What will happen is that you'll just have a full stop, and anytime, remember in previous results, when you're having missing variables, they exist like there was a data but it was removed, missing. You can maybe try that on your own time. Lastly, that is on data cleaning, and we said when you can clean data in different ways. Yeah, you can remove columns. Yeah, you can remove columns completely. For example, we're having the column named something else. of course it's not having that much meaning. So let me go back. So we're having something else. We're having the number running from zeros, negatives, all the way to 1. Yeah, they were randomly generated variables. If you want to delete a column, now that we can't select it, we have copying, selecting data, hiding, but we don't have the option of deleting. Thereby we're going to be running a command. So let me take you back to the do file area, and here you can just type drop if it's 1. So we can have drop, and then the name of the variable is, just as we typed it, something else. Sorry, as one word, unless if you had typed it, you had given it another name. So you have drop something else. If you run this, you should be able to delete the something else column. Alternatively, if you're having a list of data entries, yeah, if you're having, let's say 20 variables and you just want to keep 2, you can use the command keep, yeah, whereby you use the command keep and then list the variables. For example, dropping something else is the same as using the command keep, and then we want to keep id. We have age, and lastly we have happiness. You can either drop something else or you can keep the variables that you want to keep. Either way, you should be able to end up with the result you wanted. So I just run drop, I'll execute this, then I'll go to the data editor tab, and you can see we just have id, age, and happiness. Also, if you use the keep, you should be able to keep the id, age, and happiness. So that means there's something else will be deleted. Okay, so if you run and the summarize again, you should be able to see the summary of id, age, and happiness now that we have deleted the something else. So I want us to install some packages. Very, very important for the next part. A package is a function, or we can call it something that increases the functionality of, say, stata in this case. So it's just increasing the how some functions should perform. What I mean is, there are some commands, if you run without these packages, they won't run. You'll end up with either an error, or that means you have to get invalid and then the command. And the reason you get that is because maybe a specific package do not exist. Yeah. Another thing where we need to install is because these packages or these commands did not download and install as we were installing stata, and we need them. So we need to install them because they were not generated. The reason we didn't install maybe the summary, the describe, or any other command we have been using is because they were downloaded and installed together with stata. But there are others we really need to install them ourselves. We install packages in stata, we install packages in R, Python, in most of the programming languages, just to add. So maybe you can type these packages. So I'll add a comment installing packages. install packages, and then you type the name of the package. For you to install the package, you have to be connected to the internet. Note that for you to install a package, you have to be connected to the internet. Yeah, and we uses the ssc install command to install a package. Sorry. So I check on that. ssc install is the command, and then the name of the package. So we have the scheme pack, is one of the packages that we're going to be installing. We have another package, the second package is core space, and these packages will help us in, for example, the graphics as well. So we have install, core space. The next install, you can install as I do, and remember you have to be connected to the internet. Using the ssc install command and then the name of the package. Yeah, we can install that. I already had previously installed these packages, so if you have a package, you can replace it. Of course, you have to use the command replace. So I add a comma and we have replace, because I already have this package, so I'll just replace so that we install them together. So you can install these packages this way. As said, we're using replace in case you already have that package, so you are replacing the existing one. And we said for you to run a command, you must select and then you execute. That's on our command. Anytime we use our starter area and run a command, maybe by the use of, for example, we can run a specific type of data or plotting, the command will automatically be generated here. You can copy it from here, but sometimes you may realize that some of those features are not available in the command area or the shortcuts area. So whereby, for example, under the edit, the data, and maybe the graphic. Statistics, this is where we get some of the statistical terms, yeah, from summaries, frequencies, and so on. And we say that anytime you run a specific command, you'll get the command here. So you can install the package. I'll share the notes. There are some, I guess 3 also packages that you really need to install for the purpose of our next analysis. So let's use a sample data. Maybe we can go to graphics. This is on plotting. First thing first is use the command clear. Use the command clear. Remember you have the do file. Let me show you maybe probably how to save the do file. To save this do file, you go to file, then we have save as. You can choose the location where you want to save it, and then you save. Say I'll just call it data cleaning. Yeah, and you can see it saved as the type of do file, so you're going to open it as I have saved it. So that means if in any case I clear, remember when we clear or we close stata from this point, we're going to lose anything that exists here, unlike if it exists in the do file, that's in terms of the command. Yeah, maybe someone can confirm whether the installation is successful. Have you successfully managed to install the packages, or are they still installing? And we're installing these packages. Skim pack, Paraspace, and we have the pellets, and then the lab tool. Just in case you let me know. So I'll clear my space by the use of the command clear, and I'm using the command under the stata view, page view, and I want us to use a sample data set that exists in stata. So let me show you how to access sample data sets in stata. You go to file, and you can see I'm at the home tab for stata. So I'll go to file, then the second last command is not second last, we have the exit to exit stata, we have a recent datasets opened, and lastly we have the example dataset, and I want us to use the example dataset. So you can click on example dataset, and this is what opens: the title, then the descriptions. Under descriptions we have example dataset installed with stata, because we don't want to install or download others. We want to work with the one that exists with stata. So I'll click on that, and we have all this running from auto. We have auto 2, yes, Frederick.
Hi, what was the name of the last package that you installed?
Hold on it. So here it is, Abutel.
When I ran this line,
the last one,
it's
or
saying that is, yeah. The output is saying that it's an invalid subcommand.
were the rest successful?
Yeah.
Okay, let me check on the spelling. Just a minute. That's how it exists. It's LABUTIL. I don't know why you're getting such an error. Who else is getting that error? or the error after running. Of course, you're going to see the error under the home of stata, the home view of stata here. That's why you're going to see whether the commands were successful or you're having an error. Yeah. Using the same, let me add to you some packages. Maybe you can install them as the rest installs. We have, I write it as a comment, you can install a package known as dstats, sorry, just that. So you're going to type ssc install, then dstat. We also have a package known as momats, and then we have a last one. There were just 3 that were remaining as per our current case. The violin plot. You can install as well as these 3. Okay. I don't know whether there's anybody else who is having the issue with this package here. I said for you to install the packages you have to be connected to the internet, so make sure you confirm that as well. So I was in the process of showing you how to access sample dataset that comes with stata, and I said you go to file, we have example datasets as the third last command under the file. Click on that, a window pops up, and at this point we are clicking on example dataset installed with stata because that's what we're going to be working with. And you'll see a list running from auto 2 all the way to xlinear and voter, the last 2 dataset. All these are sample datasets that comes with stata. For example, if I want to use the auto, which is the first, I'll just click on use describe, meaning you're going to get the describe, just as you run the describe command, the results you get, the number of observation, the number of variables and such. If you want to use it, just click on use. So I'll click on use just once. You can close the sample here and you should see this command that read says use and then the name of the data, which means you can read a sample data set in stata using the command says use and then the name of that sample that you want to work with. It says it's a 1978 automobile data. And remember, before I ran this command, I first ran the command clear. If you don't clear your space, you're going to have the first data you are having overlapping the data that you open. So that's why we are always clearing our space. So I'll go to the data editor, and what we have, you can go by running the command edit, or you can just go to data. We have edit and in this case you can open it probably in browse mode. Browse mode meaning you cannot edit that data, you cannot interfere with the dataset itself. Yeah, and we have make, it's a car type of data. We have the price, the MPG, miles, we have the reps, the headrooms, the trunks, the weight, the length, the turn, the displacement, the gear ratio, and is it a foreign or domestic type of car. Those are our variables. Observation is running row wise, so we can, I'll just scroll down so that we see how many observations. We have 74 observations. 74 observations. Variables we have from make all the way to foreign. Those are our. So I run a simple, I won't use the command, I'll use the, let me close the data editor. I'll just use the graphics commands we have, but remember, as we said, we are limited to this point. So for example, if I want a specific type of chart, I'll click on graphics. Under graphics, you choose the type of chart you want to work with. For example, we have the histogram, the pie chart, the dot chart, yeah, the contour plots, and so on. Assume I want to work with a scatter plot, in this case a two-way graph, so I'll select on two-way, bearing in mind the steps that I'm going to go through by clicking on graphs and clicking on two-way graph. The commands will be generated down here, any command I run. So I'll click on graph, two-way, and then you're supposed to choose and create the plot that you want. So I'll click on plot. You can see we're having some output running from plot. If in, we have the y-axis, the x-axis, and the title and so on. But now under the plot definition, we don't have any plot, because if you go to graphics, two-way graphs, we have scatter, we have line, etc. That means we have a couple of two-way graphs. Yeah, so I click on create, and you can see we have basic plot, range plots, contour plot, and so on. Then under basics, we have scatter, line, connected area, bar spikes, and so on. But we want scatter, so I'll just leave it as it is. From now, after you're able to select that, I'll just need to select the variables that I want to work with. Yeah, for example, we're having the y-axis. I click on y-axis, and you can see I'm having a list of all the variables that are in the dataset we're using, the auto, and that is the sample dataset, or an example dataset in stata. So I'll have under y variable, click, you just click once to select price under y. Under x, I'll just select MPG, just as they follow. Then I can select on sort according to x axis. This is usually not that much. Then I click on accept, and lastly click on submit. Once as I submit, you can see on the command area I'm having two-way scatter, then we have price, MPG, and the sort, and I'm also having a scatter plot. Maybe I can increase the size. This is how the scatter plot looks like. Yeah, I'll close, and again you can see the command here. If I make any adjustment, it reflects together with what we are having here. So we're going to, any adjustment we add, it appears here. For example, if I go to the y-axis, so you can see where I'm at, I clicked on create, chosen, I chose the plot, that the chart that I want, that's the scatter, and then the variables I'll be using. Under y-axis, I can make some adjustments. I can make some adjustments. Let me submit again so that we see the scatter. I want to show you something. If you check here on the scatter, we are having the x-axis, we're having the mileage, that's the MPG, and we have the price, but the prices are reading vertically. You have to tilt yourself in a certain angle for you to be able to read the y-axis. Yeah, you can adjust this. You can just adjust the angle by going to the y-axis, measure tricks or label properties. Just click on that. On the pop-up we have rules, leave it as it is. What follows is labels, so we want just to adjust on labels. So I click on labels, and under angle I'll select horizontal. So then click accept, and then we have submit. And now you can see you don't have to tilt yourself to read the y-axis. It have been aligned horizontally so that it's easier for us to read. We don't have the title yet, so we can add that. Still on the same pop-up, remember you can see there's this pop-up that is not closing. I'm not closing it either unless I'm done. Yeah, so I'll go to the title and add a title, say scatter plot, and then I'll have the subtitle, which is also an option. I'll have it as price versus MPG. So those are the title, and we have the subtitle. If you go ahead and click on the properties, you'll just see how to adjust the color, the font, and so on, but I'll just leave it as it is. I'll click OK, and you can see here, sorry, I clicked on OK and submit, and now you can see what the plot that we are having currently is having the scatter itself, and we have the titles and subtitle. So again, if you check on the command area, the home area, this is the command that generated the results that we are having. So if I was to copy this and paste it somewhere else, you should be able to execute it and get the same result we are having. You don't have to always copy. For example, if I want to rerun what I had, I'll use the command area. The last command that was run is the command 31, so I'll select on that, and the command in it is reflected just here. The same case for any command that you select, you should be able to have the command reflected here. You can hit and enter, and you always get the results. And you can copy the command again to the do file, and you'll be able as well to work with the result. With the command, you can adjust in different ways to get different type of chart view. Yeah, in terms of the color, the font, the format, and so on. Are we having any question?
After installing those commands, will we be installing them every day, or they will be inbuilt now there?
Yeah, they will be inbuilt. You don't have to install them anytime you're using Stata. You'll just run the commands that you will see later. They are necessary for those commands as well. Apart from installing them, maybe after the class, if you have time, you can go ahead and try to understand what those packages are majorly used for, what commands are going to be important from those packages, because I say these are function based. The purpose of commands, it increases the functionality of our analysis. Okay, thank you for that. Are we having any other question? Okay, that's all for today. You can go ahead and maybe work with what we have, and then maybe later we'll see what's next. Let's meet tomorrow in our next class. Try and join early. Frederick?
Project my screen.
Yes, you're having an issue?
When I project my screen, I was unable to import the data.
Okay, yes. What about yes?
Before that, can you please show us the do file window? Yours. Want to see those packages that you.
Okay, here it is.
Still mind the labutil file, the labutil package not installing.
Okay, maybe we can end the class and see how we're going to manage the rest. Otherwise, that's all for today. Let me stop sharing my screen and then you can share. Maybe we can start with Deba. Caroline, if you're not having an issue, you are free to leave, and the rest. Okay.
That name was not clear. I'm just requesting you if tomorrow you will start with the one paragraph.
Okay, no problem.
And please share with us the recording tomorrow.
Okay, will.
Once they upload it.
Okay, will.